Chris, you ready? Good evening, everyone, and welcome to the Monday, July 23rd meeting of the Bella Vista City Council meeting. We'll do a Pledge of Allegiance, followed by roll call, so if you'd please stand and join us. I pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Do a roll call of council. Councilmember Wozniak.
Here.
Fowler.
Here.
Anderson.
Here.
Flynn.
Here.
Lloyd.
Here.
All present and accounted for.
And Mr. Clerk, you tell me we don't have anybody to speak this evening?
No one signed up to speak. Is there someone who wished to address the council that did not get a chance to sign up? I guess not.
Okay, thank you. We'll move along. The next is the approval of the minutes of the June 25th City Council meeting. Are there any errors or omissions? Hearing none, I would entertain a motion to approve.
So moved.
Second.
All right. Roll call. Councilmember Anderson.
Yes.
Flynn.
Yes.
Lloyd.
Yes.
Fowler.
I abstain. I was not here for the last meeting.
Okay. Wozniak.
Yes.
All right.
Thank you. The next is the monthly financial report for May of 2018, which Carrie published. She is away this week. She's attending the Arkansas chapter of the Government Financial Officers Association. I always have to think that through a bit. And so she's down in Texarkana, but she is available next week if anybody has any questions. As usual, of course, the tax doesn't come in until after this meeting. So I'm hoping that at the beginning of next week, we'll be able to issue an updated status on the sales tax.
Mayor, typically you entertain a motion to suspend the rules. There are no ordinances on tonight's agenda, therefore that motion would be unnecessary.
Thank you. We'll move straight into business then. And we have, we only have resolutions this evening. So the first is authorizing the mayor and city clerk to enter in a trail license agreement with the Bella Vista Village Property Owners Association, Inc. and the Bentonville Bella Vista Trailblazers Association for purposes of facilitating an expansion of the public recreational trail system throughout the city. There has been quite a bit of discussion over the last few hours about this. I know that you also chatted about it at the work session while I was on vacation in Canada. And bottom line is the way it's been presented to us at the moment is a little confusing to one and all. So we had a meeting this afternoon, and I want to thank Frank Anderson for being part of it, where we decided to adopt the KISS principle, just keep it simple. And I'm going to ask you to table this indefinitely, and Mr. Kelly will be working with Mr. Rushing at Trailblazers to put together a much simpler resolution that will simply identify those things that are changing from the current documentation and agreements that we have in place. For example, we will be moving from 40 miles to 90 miles, that type of thing, so that we don't get into the complication of adopting what we've already adopted to go back and change it later. It just makes a lot more sense that as things change, we will simply have a resolution and make that change to the original documents so that we don't get confused by having multiple documents. I have discussed this with Tom Judson. He's still going to move ahead with the current format at his board meeting this Thursday. But in speaking with his attorney as well, we still believe that we're in sync and that all will be well. So clear as mud, I'm sure, especially if you haven't been involved in this. But are there any questions before I ask for the motion? Yes, sir.
Well, I was just curious, and one question came up last week was the $35,000 a year for upkeep Was that an additional 35,000 or was it the same 35,000 as in the
Right.
original?
It was the same 35,000 because all they were doing was taking the existing document and then after they had figured out what we think might be the appropriate number for the additional trail mileage, then go back and change it. And that was one of the discussions we had today because that was confusing everybody. So let's just wait until we actually have a better feel for it, and then we can determine how much more it's going to be. I will tell you that we are being told to anticipate a grant to come from the Walton Family Foundation to help us build certain portions of the new section of trail that will affect city property, and that they are considering including some monies in that for the first 2 years of trail maintenance, which would be the years 2019 and 2020 as they build it, because it'll take 2 years to build this next segment. It's not going to be as easy as the first back 40. So a little bit of a longer explanation, John, but that's the way that we're hoping it's going to pan out. Anybody else have questions? Okay.
I had a comment.
Yes, sir.
This might be a little off topic. I don't think it is. But, you know, I went out to the Enduro race Sunday morning. I went out about 8:45. It was starting at 9. And the positive energy and the feeling there was just, it's unbelievable. It's way more positive than I could even describe.
It was quite an event. Both Connie and I were there for most of the day. It was sold out at 160 riders, 4 no-shows, that's all. And there were 10 waiting in line for tickets. So, but I will tell you, it's one of those sports like parachuting where I'm very glad to stand on the ground and look up and say, I'll be happy to hold your clothes because they come down those chutes so quickly. But you're absolutely right, John. It was a well-attended event and there was a lot of positive energy. Okay, I'd entertain then a motion to table this resolution indefinitely.
So moved.
Second.
Okay. On the motion to table, Councilmember Lloyd,
Yes.
Flynn,
Yes.
Wozniak,
Yes.
Anderson,
Yes.
Fowler,
Yes.
carried.
Thank you. The next resolution is amending the 2018 city budget to appropriate general reserve funds in the total amount of $47,124.20 for a police department watch guard server, crime scene van updates, Humvee updates, and security cameras. Again, I know that you talked about this at length at the work session with Chief, and Chief is here this evening in case there are other questions. In a nutshell, probably the most pressing is the WatchGuard server at the moment, Chief. And then the upgrades to the van, which is the evidence van. You have probably had 3 or 4 occasions which, if it had been ready, we could have used that already. Is that true?
We probably had in the last 2 months about 4 occasions we could have used it on.
Okay, good. Any discussion? I'd entertain a motion to approve.
So moved.
Second.
Okay. All right. Councilmember Fowler,
Yes.
Anderson,
Yes.
Flynn,
Yes.
Wozniak,
Yes.
Lloyd,
Yes.
carried 5-0.
Thank you. The next resolution, awarding bid and authorizing the purchase of a dump truck with salt spreader and snowplow equipment from Summit Truck Group in the amount of $126,404.93 for use by the street department, and amending the 2018 city budget to appropriate $130,000 from unappropriated general fund reserves to Department 100 account 52,800 equipment over 1,000. This is the infamous green truck that we're finally going to bid farewell, that has probably spent more time in the service garage than it has out on the road. We thought we could scrimp by another year, but that's not to be, so I had asked the superintendent to go to bid and bring it to you so that if you approve, we can place the order right away and hopefully have it before the snow flies, if indeed the snow decides to fly this year, which we certainly hope it doesn't. Are there any questions at all? I'd entertain a motion to approve.
So moved.
Second.
All right. Councilmember Lloyd,
Yes.
Flynn,
Yes.
Wozniak,
Yes.
Anderson,
Yes.
Fowler,
Yes.
carried 5-0.
The next resolution is authorizing the mayor and city clerk to enter into a contract with Luttrell Concrete Construction in an amount not to exceed $168,000 for the construction of a salt sand storage building for the street department. Just so all of you are aware, we have one now, which was erected behind the new street building. And it was erected approximately 2 years ago at a cost of $173,000. It's going to just make better sense if we also have one on the east side, so that in the middle of a snowstorm, we haven't got the trucks coming all the way back to the west side. And I think the efficiencies will be gained in being able to clear the streets and keep up with any ice that may be falling. The location is across from the Blue Mountain Storage Area on Trafalgar. Council authorized the purchase of that land some months ago from Cooper, and the bid has now come back at $168,000. We only had, out of 14 people that we sent it to, one bid. So that made it quite easy. It was the same company that did the one that is now over by the streets department. It's a little less expensive. It's at $168 instead of $173. And the main reason for that is, in order for it to fit into the footprint over off Trafalgar, we actually had to decrease the size somewhat so that we could get to the setback regulations. So, having said that, I'd entertain a motion to authorize this resolution.
So moved.
Second.
All right. Councilmember Anderson,
Yes.
Fowler,
Yes.
Lloyd,
Yes.
Wozniak,
Yes.
Flynn,
Yes.
carried 5-0.
The last resolution of the evening is appointing blank as council member of the City of Bella Vista to fill the vacancy in Ward 3, Position 2, for the remainder of the unexpired term ending December 31st, 2018. And Council Member Anderson, I believe you have something?
Yes, Mayor, I would like to recommend the tabling of this resolution to the November 2018 City Council meeting.
Is that a motion, sir?
That's a motion.
Thank you. Have we got a second?
Second.
Okay. Open up for discussion. Frank, do you want to kick it off?
Yeah, my reason for doing this is, as I mentioned last week, and actually had mentioned earlier when we knew we had lost the member, it did not seem to me that we, 5 people left on this city council, should be the ones that are influencing in any way who gets elected to be city council. What this recommendation will do for us is allow the vote to take place in November, and at that time, as our lawyer will tell us, we do need to appoint somebody through this 6-month period. We could appoint somebody then at the November meeting. It would be the person that's elected. That way, we would not be influencing the outcome of the vote at all. And I think we have some extremely good candidates. To tell you the honest guy's truth, I would hate to make the decision as to which 6 we're not going to take. So I think we'd be better off to leave it up to the vote in November. So that's the reason for my recommendation.
Okay, Counselor, we're still in good stead?
Let me go ahead and share. I sent an email. This question did come up at the work session, and we addressed it, and I sent an email out to everyone, but I'm not sure everyone of the potential people interested in this received it. In fact, I know they didn't. So let me just go ahead and share what I said so everyone has full information. Arkansas Code Section 1443-411B says, quote, when a vacancy occurs in any position of council member in a city having a population of 20,000 or more, according to the most recent federal decennial census, a new council member shall be chosen in the following manner. 1, if the unexpired portion of the term of council member exceeds 1 year, at the first regular meeting after the occurrence of the vacancy, the city council shall proceed to either elect by a majority vote of the remaining members elected to the council a council member to serve for the unexpired term, or call for a special election to be held in accordance with Section 711-101 to fill the vacancy, or 2, if the unexpired portion of the term of council member is 1 year or less, a successor shall be chosen by majority vote of the members of the council. I have interpreted this previously to mean that since less than 1 year is left in the term we're speaking about, appointment must occur at the first meeting after the vacancy shall have occurred, which is this meeting. However, it is not impossible to read B2 as removing the specific timing requirement discussed in B1, as it is not specifically listed again, but no court has decided the issue. I have always given better safe than sorry advice. That's what I've done here, but lawyers' opinions may vary and differ. It is clear that the council must appoint a replacement, though. On that there is no option. I will say that there probably is no real consequence legally for failing to appoint anyone Monday, with that being tonight. And if anyone challenged the fact that the council did not take such action, it is unclear what their remedy would be. Of course, I'm always here to advise the council on the law, and I've done so. And it's up to you as to determine what to do and how you want to interpret that law. Basically, I'm going to provide legal defense to whatever it is you choose to do. And I believe I could most likely provide some legal defense to this if you decide to put it off. But in any event, that was my information to you, and so it's up to you to decide what you want to do.
Okay, discussion? John?
Well, I think Arkansas law is pretty clear that we need to appoint someone. I think your first opinion was obviously the correct one. But aside from that, we told everybody we were going to appoint someone and had them submit resumes and come in for interviews. And I think I agree, it's very, very hard to pick. Several of the people are personal friends of mine, and it's extremely difficult to pick. As I said last week, there's many qualified candidates, but the whole point of being in this kind of service is sometimes you have to make difficult decisions. And I think the state, when they passed this law, it was up to them, and this is the way they passed it, and they said we should appoint someone, so we should appoint someone.
Okay, Doug?
So John just said everything that I would be thinking, so I won't reiterate everything he just said because I fully agree with all of it. Part of being a new city council member means there's a lot to learn. And we get a lot of direction and help with that from the Arkansas Municipal League. And I've attended several sessions down there. And we have some really good lawyers. And it's been stated more than one time, whenever a statute reads, you shall, that means you will. Doesn't mean if you want to, doesn't mean if you feel like it, and it doesn't mean when you get around to it. It means you shall do what the statute states. So, I agree with John in this regard. All the candidates came in, they made their presentations. I believe they're fully expecting a decision tonight. It was in the newspaper. I'm sure that anybody that's read that in the paper is probably expecting a decision, if the ones that are paying attention. And I think we should move forward in that regard. I went away from that work session fully prepared to make a decision this evening, and I've thought it over quite extensively. And how I made my decision, I actually have somebody specifically in mind. So I'm ready to move forward with this resolution tonight.
Okay, thank you. Others? Linda?
Well, I understand both points of view on this, and actually it's not 5 of us picking the next city council member. It would really be 3, because only 3 of the 5 of us have to vote. And I'm probably at this point inclined to go along with this motion that let's let the people speak, because I've seen when someone gets appointed, then they go on to the ballot as incumbent, and a lot of people who don't follow city council would just pick the incumbent just because it says incumbent.
Okay. Jim?
I raised the question when this first came up, why couldn't we wait? And of course, Jason had the same argument then as he has today, but I was all set to wait. We're not looking at a year, a half a year, 2, it's a couple months. That's all we're looking at.
Okay. Anybody else? Yes, ma'am.
I did just one other thing. I think that if we do decide to wait, I think it's important that we invite all the candidates to the budget meetings that we have, so whoever does get chosen will be up to speed in November from some of our meetings?
Well, actually, as all the candidates probably know, there is a period of time that is approaching very closely when you actually have to file. And it would be my intent to ensure that anybody who does file will automatically start receiving all the copies of the upcoming meetings, the same thing that Frank did for me and the others when we were running. So yes, I would agree with you that we have to make sure that everybody who has filed and intends to put their name on the ballot needs to be copied and ensure that they're up to snuff as we get closer to the election. Any other comments by anyone?
Questions on the motion?
We have a motion on the table. Will you do the roll, sir?
Okay, this is on the motion to table
Until November.
Until November.
until November, correct. Councilmember Lloyd,
Yes.
Councilmember Flynn,
No.
Councilmember Wozniak,
Yes.
Councilmember Anderson,
Yes.
Councilmember Fowler,
No.
3-2.
Mayor, you may choose to vote in favor of the motion if you so desire.
At the moment, it's 3-2.
Your vote would, if you desire to table it, you can vote yes.
Okay. Yes, I'll vote yes, and we'll table.
Okay, so the
Motion tabled.
motion is tabled.
Okay, meetings and announcements. The next city council work session will be Monday, August the 20th at 5:30 here in the court building. The next regular meeting of the city council will be Monday, August 27th at 6:30 PM, again here in the court building. The planning commission work session will be Thursday, August the 2nd at 4:30 in the court building. And the planning commission regular meeting will be August 13th at 6:30 in the court building. And the Board of Zoning Adjustment will be August the 21st at 5:30, also in the court building. Thank you for attending, and we are adjourned.